So today we are going to talk about gratitude. This is the class I'm giving. It's about gratitude, intention, and why did I choose this topic? It's a really popular topic. I know that gratitude is a really hot word right now on all the socials. Hashtag grateful, hashtag blessed. I say it's a hot topic right now, but it's really been a hot topic for quite a few years. And it's all over social media. Everyone loves gratitude journals. In any place, in any self help books, they talk about it everywhere. So, yes, there is a huge benefit of a gratitude journal because it really puts you in the moment. It puts you in the moment of where you are in life and keeps you positive. And even if sometimes you don't feel that way, it really gets you there. So, let's dive deeper into this idea because a lot of times we hear about it and we're like, okay, not for me. So why is having gratitude for that everyday kind of thing really important, right? The self-help books say, right, this journal about gratitude and just write 3 things that, your coffee, your hot coffee, your walk, breathing fresh air. Why is it so important to have gratitude for everyday stuff? So first of all, it's really easy to give thanks when things are going really well. So you get a job promotion, you get a great vacation offer that and you're like, yes, thanks, this is awesome. But it's also important to be grateful for the little things. And that's why in all these self-help books, in the beginning, at the end, they'll say, why don't you start off by writing 5 to 10 things that you're grateful for every day? And there's actually research and a basis for this. So neuroscientists have said that you can literally rewire your brain to be happy, not just to be grateful, to be happy, that feeling of happiness and joy, if you just recall 3 things daily that you're grateful for 21 days. So it does take some time, but if you 21 days and 3 things, not a lot, and they just need to be little things. And then you can rewire your brain to be happy. And this is really great and important because many people find themselves to feel really stuck. They feel stuck in life. They feel stuck where they are. They don't like their job or their relationships. And a lot of times those are friendships. And they're having a hard time with that. So how do you get out of this place of stuck? For those people to say, if I had this job or that vacation or that pair of shoes, whatever it is, then I'd be happy. And if you really want to feel that happiness, if you start from a place of gratitude, you can get there, as those neuroscientists said, right? You can rewire your brain. But you also can't deny where you are right now. So you also need to embrace where you are in life and not deny it. This works together. It's the same idea with feelings and emotions. You need to accept your feelings and emotions in order to move forward from it and move on from it. There's actually this great movie called Inside Out, which I highly recommend. It's a children's movie, but I also recommend it for adults because it has wonderful lessons. And in the movie, it's about this kid whose brain has all the emotions. And in the movie, these characters, joy, sadness, frustration, anger, are really the main characters, and they're talking. And with this one child, all of a sudden sadness starts taking over and messing things up, right? To joy, to frustration, to anger. All of a sudden, this kid is constantly sad, and sadness is really, driving the ship over there. And so the other emotions start to freak out and try to reel sadness back in so that the kid, because all they really want is for their child, their brainchild, to be happy again. So we were discussing this topic, this movie, at the dinner table the other night. And my 8-year-old daughter, Nava, who is extremely sensitive, says to us, well, sometimes you just can't ignore your feelings of sadness and you can't be happy, even though people want you to be happy, even though they're like, just get over it. Sometimes you can't get over it. And sometimes you need to feel your sadness and move through it. And then you can feel happy again. And she clearly understood the point of the movie. Because that's what we're talking about here, is that even though we talk about how to rewire our brain and how to do that daily, you still need to work through where you are. And the idea of having this feeling of gratitude, and I think the reason why so many people kind of shy away from it is because they're like, well, I can't just feel grateful if I'm not grateful right now. But that's not what we're saying at all. Feel those feelings, but then move through it. It doesn't mean when you're grateful that you are living in La La Land, that you live in this made-up world and you're pretending that everything's okay. No, it just means you're choosing to focus on things that are good, to focus on things that make you happy, and focus on things that make you want to give thanks. When we embrace our space of where we are in life, that is expressing true gratitude. Because we're embracing it. We're saying, oh, I'm here. Okay, that's okay. I get that. I'm thankful. But, and here's a really big but. This is really important. Don't think because you embrace where you are doesn't mean you should be content with where you are. No. Embracing means I accept it. I'm grateful for where I am right now and what has brought me here. And I also understand I have the ability to move forward, to move upwards and beyond where I am, if I so choose. Again, we're back to choice. You have the choice to do this. So you can feel measures of disappointment, sadness for possibly where you are, and then you can also feel the wanting to choose to change it. So let's talk about feelings, because I keep bringing it up. Excuse me. So feelings are infinite, right? You can be in your head, feel all these feelings, totally infinite. Words are limited. It's why sometimes it's hard to explain your feelings, right? You can say, I don't know how to express what I'm feeling right now, because you can feel all these feelings and then it's hard to express it in words. It's the same way how sometimes writers get blocks. They have these stories in their head and they're so fantastical, and then they write it on paper and it doesn't come out the same. Words are limited. So how do you get to this deeper level of gratitude when we're talking about feelings and words? It's not just that you're supposed to write this gratitude journal and leave it at that and hope something changes and hope something happens. The way we really access this feeling of gratitude and this deeper level, this attitude of gratitude, which is a phrase people just love to use. It's so popular, attitude of gratitude, and it's a thing, is you have to speak about your gratitude out loud. Yes, even to yourself. So the idea is that you write what you're grateful for in this journal, and then you read it to yourself out loud so you can hear it. Because when you discuss something out loud, you come to a better understanding of it. It's the same reason why teachers go over topics in school again and again. If you're ever in a study group, a lot of times, we just had this Rosh Chodesh, we do this Rosh Chodesh monthly class in our neighborhood where all the women get together, and every month we do it elsewhere, and everyone brings something about the month to talk about. And this past month was on Iyar, and I think we spent an hour talking about Pesach Sheni, because there was something where we weren't grasping about it and we wanted to get it and understand it. So we discussed it for about an hour. And as we talked about it and discussed it more, we came to this like deeper understanding of what it was. And that's the idea. So to get to this deeper feeling of gratitude, you really want to actually say the words out loud. What you're grateful for. Hear it. Let it hit some senses, right? Hit your ears, all those senses. And that will bring you to better understanding of what you're grateful for, and will bring you to these feelings of being thankful, which will lead you to happiness. So, when you put your gratitude, your feelings into words, on one hand, we were talking about how it's limiting. And on the other hand, it's really what's going to get you to this deeper feeling of it, to really understand it. So speaking about something, talking about it, gets you to this deeper feeling and understanding about it. So if you spend every day verbalizing out loud, besides writing, your gratitude, your thankfulness, to Hashem, to the universe, to whoever you like to be thankful to. Even if in the beginning it feels funny, it doesn't feel right. Like those neuroscientists said, 21 days, 3 things that you're grateful for, it will rewire your brain. So if you're in a dark place, if you're in a negative space, just keep doing it, even if it doesn't feel good, because it'll really pull you out of that space and bring you to a place of joy and happiness. But make sure, I know that sometimes we want to embrace those feelings of sadness, and we talked about this is totally okay, and it actually works together. Just make sure when you're talking or you're thinking about the negativity that you don't stay there. Go right away into gratefulness. And a great way to do that if you're not feeling it is to just write these 3 to 5 things down in a gratitude journal. What's something that brought you joy today? What's something that brought you happiness today? And the constant repetition of it is what's going to bring you to this positive place. It's like when you're riding a bike, they always say, if you fall, get right back on, right? Because the idea is you don't want to get stuck in the fear of falling, and then that grows, and then you can't even get back on that bike. So it's the same idea. So go ahead, have those feelings out. Just remember to move along so you don't get stuck there. So we're talking about this attitude of gratitude. Favorite phrase among many people, and used quite a lot everywhere. And so I looked into a little bit because I was curious. And like, where does this come from? Is it just a catchphrase, right? Attitude of gratitude. People love to use it. It rhymes. It's lyrically pleasing. It sounds good to the ears. And I found this really cool publication of something called the Nun Studies. It's N-U-N. Excuse me. I don't know where this study is from. I probably should have written it down, but I didn't. But it's an easy search on Google. So the NUN studies, and it inspired many other studies. I think it was a very large study. I believe it was over a couple of colleges. Don't quote me on that. We'll have to look it up. I can get back to you on that. But it essentially is about that when you come to this attitude of gratitude, not just a catchphrase, not just a pretty phrase, that it actually changes your physical, it has a physical effect of change on you. So when you're in the space of gratitude, in the space of feeling, and we talked about how to get there, right? Starting this journal, speaking it out loud, hearing yourself say it. If you need to embrace something that's tough, embrace it, but then move on to being grateful and thankful. Because when you come to this space of thankful, grateful, happiness, it changes your physical being. And here are some of the things that they notice that having an attitude of gratitude does. And I'm going to read them off. Number 1, it improves physical health and immunity against disease. Okay, that is huge. To have a physical improvement of health and immunity against disease just by your feelings of being happy and grateful. Grateful people are more likely to take regular exercise and go for checkups, which is important because getting checkups regularly is preventative of anything that could happen. It reduces toxic emotions such as resentment, frustration, regret, and makes depression less likely. It even tends to make people sleep better, which is really important because a lot of people have a hard time sleeping. So if you're in the space of grateful happiness, you could sleep better. It enhances self-respect, making it less likely that you will envy others for their achievement or success. And I love this because the benefit of not envying someone else for their achievement and success is that you get to focus on your own achievement and success and make it greater. And it says grateful people tend to have better relationships. I mean, who doesn't want to have better relationships? Like, that's a no-brainer. And then it says, which I thought was really interesting, that saying thank you enhances friendships and elicits better performance from employees. And this was really interesting to me because every day in our davening, In our prayers, we say Moda and Modim, which means thanks. We start a day with Moda Ani. But another translation for Moda is to admit. So when we give thanks, we are grateful, and we are admitting that there's a higher power than us, that it's not just us running our lives, right? The sole reason that there's good in our life isn't just us. It's that there's a higher power. We're being thankful that we recognize that all of this, everything that we have, everything that we're doing is due to a higher power, to Hashem, etc. So, like in the Nun study, the NUN study, when we are grateful, we release a wave of positive energy. And as I talked about, it does all these things. But what else does it do? What does positive energy do for us? It helps us focus on what we have instead. Instead of focusing what we don't have. It helps us appreciate where we are in life instead of focusing on where we are not in life, what we haven't accomplished. And the most positive thing that I thought about all this, of this positive energy and focusing on ourselves, is that when you do that, you shift all your energy back to you. So all your thoughts, all your feelings get shifted back onto you, being grateful. I'm happy where I am. Now that I'm happy where I am, what do I want to do? And so it gives you this opportunity to really focus on yourself and accomplish what you want to accomplish, instead of looking out there and being like, oh, what's that person doing? What's that person doing? I want to do that. I want to do that. And then you don't do anything because you're too busy looking at other people. So releasing this wave of positive energy is bringing that positive energy back into you, into what you want to do, into what you want to accomplish. And this is really, really great for moving forward in life. There is a phrase in life coaching called TFAR. TFAR. It stands for thoughts, feelings, actions, and results. It's a cosmic effect. If you change your thoughts, then your feelings will change. And if you change your feelings, you will act differently than you have before. And if you act differently than you have before, obviously you'll get different results. The fastest way I have seen to change your thoughts is to come from a place of gratitude, is to think about, like the neuroscientist said, 3 things every day I'm grateful for, puts you in that feeling. You're having a hard day, it's rough. If you take a couple of minutes and breathe and think, okay, I'm having a hard day, but what did go right there today? What's something that happened today? It puts you in a happier headspace. You can choose, again, choice, to turn your thoughts about your day around. I'm not saying it's easy, especially if you're in it and having like one of those moments, but it's possible. And so when you do this, when you choose to turn your thoughts from negative to positive, which you have the ability to do, even though it might be difficult, then you record your statement on paper, like we talked about, like write it down. And if it's the middle of the day and you're not near your notebook, like write it on your phone or write it on a scrap piece of paper. Then you speak it out loud, like we spoke about. You undergo this mental shift, and this moves us out of whatever negative mindset we may be in. And when we learn how to change this perception, when we go through this mental shift, our whole reality changes. And we have a completely new experience accordingly, which would make sense. What it's saying, and this is actually from Tanya, which I'll talk about in a minute. This is actually taught in the end of chapter 42. You essentially are creating a new reality for yourself. So when you change your thinking, your reality completely changes. I had to say it again because it's so brilliant. Like we said, thoughts, TFAR, thoughts, you change your thinking, you're changing your feelings. It forces you to change your action because you do a lot of things. You do a lot of your action based on how you feel, which forces you to change your results. So you're just creating this new reality for yourself. So a lot of this is in Tanya. The Tanya was written by the Alter Rebbe, the first Chabad Rebbe. It is a self-help and self-mastery book. It's actually pretty incredible. It was written in the 1700s, I think. And all, what I said about the coaching, the thoughts, feelings, actions, results, and a lot of these studies that we talk about, there is basis for it in the Tanya already about self-help, self-mastery. And I think that is what I just said was probably one of the favorite things that I learned from the whole thing, is that you can create a new reality for yourself. And this is so helpful to know, because a lot of people just feel stuck where they are, what they're doing, and to know that there's, not only can you change that, but there's steps that you follow. The whole thing about saying, speaking your feelings out loud, like writing the gratitude journal and then speaking it out loud, that's also from Chassidus. And it makes sense because these are steps to follow to get you to this place of your new reality. So a way to go backwards is, if you want to create a new reality, you can think about, what is that new reality? What do I want? Instead of what don't I have? Write it down. What do you want? And once you know that, you can say, okay, if this is what I want, then how do I think about this? What would my thinking and my feelings be if I were to be in that place? And then you slowly change everything over into where you want to go. And there's a phrase by another Chabad Rebbe, the Tzemach Tzedek, that said, "Trach gut wird sein gut," which translates into "think good and it will be good." It's one of my favorite phrases. My kids all know it. I say it all the time when someone's in a bad mood. And it sounds like think good and it will be good. It sounds like it'll be good in the future. But what it's really saying is, by thinking good, you are making it good. Because if you can change your thoughts by thinking good, you're changing your reality. Like in the coaching world, when they talk about TFAR, thoughts, feelings, actions, results, you're changing your results, which is really what everybody wants to do. So I love this connection between the Jewish Torah philosophy, Hasidic, Kabbalah, what you want to call it, thought, and then the neuroscience and the research, because it's all together, it's all out there, it all works together, and it's coming from so many wonderful sources. So what is gratitude really? Gratitude is really making the choice to be grateful and to be happy. You're choosing it. It's not ignoring whatever else is going on in your life. It's just making a choice to change it. It's like, if you haven't read the book, The Choice, I highly recommend it, by Dr. Edith Eger, who I am a huge fan of. I actually did a podcast with her. Okay, I'll do a little plug. I have a podcast called Dream Detour. It's on Spotify. And I did a podcast with Dr. Edith about her book called The Choice. She wrote it at 90 years old, which is mind-blowing on its own, but she's a Holocaust survivor, and she truly believes that what you put in your mind is up to you, and you get to choose how to live your life. And so I recommend very much reading the book. It has changed a lot, and it will also bring you to this place of gratitude from hearing it from her, which is beautiful. But again, sometimes it doesn't come easy. And even writing these gratitude journals don't come easy. I know that when I started writing a gratitude journal a couple years ago, when I had heard about this mental shift and creating new realities, I was a little bit skeptical, as one would be. And I also felt that I didn't really need a gratitude journal, because I happen to be a positive person. Since I was young, I just kind of knew how to be grateful for little things, probably was taught it. And then I sat with myself and I said, okay, I want to try this, but I kind of want to make it my own, which is something I tend to do. I'm a little rebellious. I don't like to follow the rules. And I decided, what did I really need? So if I didn't need a gratitude journal, because I felt grateful many times in the day, what was I looking for? And I realized what I really wanted was a strong balance in my life. I wanted to be like super balanced with myself, with my husband, with my kids, with my friends, with my work. And that's a lot of things to try to keep in balance, especially if you notice I added myself in there. But that's a whole nother class, self-love. So I decided to start a balance journal, which was my version of a gratitude journal. And instead of writing things I was grateful for, I wrote what I wanted to do that day or what I had done that day that kept me balanced. So, for example, taking a walk, some me time, having lunch outside with my husband Dove, having a phone call with a friend. And this led me to like a really comfortable space of writing a gratitude journal and also of really finding the balance in my life, because then my focus, right, or focus is what you're writing and what you're speaking about. My focus became on really getting that balance of all the things that I want to be balanced about. And you could write gratitude journals in the evening, but most people recommend it in the morning because it really starts your day off in this positive light. There's a book called The Artist's Way that I love. It's another wonderful book. It's by Julia Cameron, and she has this thing called morning pages that she says everyone has to do every day. And she believes everyone is an artist, so it's for everyone, not just an artist, not just a self-proclaimed artist. And every morning she has you write 3 pages. Whatever's on your mind, you put on paper, you get those pages out. And someone had asked her once, well, I'm really busy in the morning. I've got the kids and this and that. Like, can I just do these morning pages in the evening at the end of the day? And she said, you can. But in the morning, you have the opportunity to change things. And by the end of the day, you don't, because your day is over. So at the end of the day, you're really just writing what happened that day. Whereas in the morning, you can write what you want to happen that day and focus on that. And I love that thought, because in your gratitude journal, which I had started writing, and now I can write 3 to 5 things daily that I'm grateful for. And I don't do this every day because I do have a lot of kids and it's hard to write in the mornings. But sometimes I'll write something I'm grateful for that hasn't happened yet, or I don't know if it will happen yet. I could be grateful for my hot tea. I'm usually pretty good about having that. But, I wanted to go to LA this summer, and for a while, was writing, I'm grateful for our LA trip. You can write it in first person, that it's actually happening. I'm grateful for being at the beach with my family in July right now. And then you're creating what you want, that new reality. Because then you're in the feeling of like, oh, this is happening. And what actions do I need to take to make this happen? And it's just this cosmic effect that keeps going and going. And it leads you to this really wonderful place and space of where you want to be, and this place of happiness and this place of joy and this creation where you're kind of co-creating your life with Hashem, with the higher power, just by starting to be grateful, to be thankful, and to be in this mindset. So I'm going to wrap it up because it's a half-hour class and I have a couple minutes left. First of all, thank you all for watching. I can actually not see any comments or anything based on my Facebook Live. So if you did have a comment or question or any of that, I'd love you to stay in touch with me. You can find me on Instagram at aura.schwartz or on Facebook at aura Schwartz. Please feel free to message me. I'd love to hear from you. If you have any thoughts, questions, if you do any of this work and have a positive mental shift, I'd love to hear from you about that too. And just to go over quickly, we talked about gratitude, about living in the moment and appreciating all the good that we do. And we talk about how changing our mindset into the positive changes our reality. And it also changes our physical well-being to good, like in the Nun study and all of that. And if there's anyone out there who's skeptical about this, totally normal. I was definitely skeptical quite a few years back when I first heard about all of this and was like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. But I would recommend to just get curious. Come from a place of curiosity, even if you think it's not going to work, and just try it. Like the neuroscientist says, write 3 things down every day that you're grateful for 21 days. I would say also to read them out loud so you can really hear it and understand it and feel it and see what happens. And then tell me about it because I'd love to hear about it. So Thank you guys so much. I will give a little shout out and plug. My husband, Joe Rosenblatt, is going on at 8. Oh, it's going to be, we're in Nashville, so the timing is off. So it's 8 now. So it would be, I guess it's 9 in New York, so at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. And he's going to be doing some music from his new Hebrew album and some interesting information on the songs. So I would stick around or come back, and thank you for listening and being here. And I appreciate all of you who showed up. Have a great evening.